to save the world. I have one of his drawings, stick figures in blue crayon, on which I wrote what he told me about it. Joshua is carrying the boy who was beat up into the house, and Joshua is carrying the boy to the ambulance. Josh's drawings always told a story, but the story invariably ended with everything blowing up. He would hum as he drew, starting with, say, a car. Here goes the car, scribble, scribble. Here comes another car. Kablam! Now here comes a Mack truck around the bend. Kaboom! And on it would go until the page was a mass of black and red and orange. Guns, airplanes, army men, tanks, explosions. Josh loved to see things blow up. He had books about tanks and guns and aircraft and battle strategy. When he was hospitalized for his colorectal surgery in September, he brought along a book he'd always wanted to read. So he asked me to read it aloud to him while he was post-op. The book was titled Clash of Wings, World War II in the Air. Just a little light reading to keep his mind occupied between hits of morphine. Josh was always up with his son, if not earlier, until following 8 years of homeschooling, we enrolled him at Horizon High School. One morning, he staggered into our bedroom with the observation, "It must be hormonal. When the alarm goes off, it makes me want to not get up." Somehow, Josh's brilliant mind failed to comprehend that he was only 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighed maybe 140 pounds, and that no matter how hard he tried to overcome the laws of physics, he could be in only one place at a time. Very few people recognized the amount of pain Josh lived with continually. He showed signs of digestive problems early in life, and in high school, they developed into irritable bowel syndrome, followed later by ulcerative colitis. Yet he wanted to save our country, and at the to serve our country, and at the U of A, faithfully awoke at 5 a.m. for physical training exercises with the ROTC. Meanwhile, he continued to drive, as Kurt said, from Tucson to Phoenix on weekends to participate in worship with Living Streams. He was hospitalized in 2002 when his weight plummeted to 99 pounds. That episode forced him to drop out of ROTC and take a semester off of school, but he plugged away with classes here at ASU until he was able to return to Tucson and finish his degree in political science, the same year Jessica graduated from Portland. But Josh's pain wasn't merely physical. He was filled with angst. The simplest decision required numerous mental diversionary tactics and strategizing. All of his sensory gates were wide open, all the time. Every moment of his day was spent sorting through the mass of input to determine which sights, sounds, smells, ideas were really the most important. And just when I'd think he had it all figured out, he'd do something totally impulsive, like buy another car. If you knew him at all, then you know that Josh was always multitasking. It was hard for him to finish anything when so many other things were crying out to be started. "I was just about to," is one of the phrases we often heard when we asked him if he'd done such and such. "Oh yeah, I was just about to do that." Josh was also, as Kurt said, a mosaic thinker as opposed to linear. Nothing he did or thought, for that matter, followed a straight line, which made reasoning with him and disciplining him as a child extremely difficult. I would be in the middle of a lecture regarding what he had done wrong and why he now needed to receive a spanking or have a privilege revoked or apologize to a sibling, and he would look at me and say, "Too many words, Mommy." Trying to get Josh to understand consequences was a lost cause, so he was a risk taker. and he was invariably surprised when things didn't go his way. He was also a hugely optimistic dreamer. Right up until the end of his life, he was planning to beat cancer and become a gunsmith and an inventor. He was going to go on a hunting trip with his cousin Charlie. And a week before he died, he told Master Sergeant Vandermolen that as soon as he beat the cancer, he would be rejoining his unit in the National Guard. Josh's love language was one-on-one time. He felt most loved by me when he had my total attention, an audience of one. Conversely, he felt jealous and angry when Alan and I had to divide our attention between him and his other siblings, David and Jessica. During his teens, and even until most recently, we simply could not be all he wanted us to be for him, and he went through seasons of extreme anger with us. At these times, he turned to several other surrogate parents, the Economides, the St. Amans, the Places. You know who you are, those of you whom he trusted to be the listening ears and counselors he needed. For you, we are grateful. If he didn't always follow your advice, well, join the crowd. Thanks for being there for him. Josh once told me that if anyone ever wrote a book about him, it should be called The Boy Who Loved Dogs. Josh did love our dogs, and he loved America, but he was passionate about Israel and about Israel's Lord and eternal King, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus, the Messiah. Josh invited Jesus into his heart when he was 4 years old. His faith in the Lord was the one simple thing about him. He knew where he was going when he exhaled his final breath, and I know that I will see him again in that place.
She's a little tired, and I don't want her to just keel over. You know, we are very grateful for everyone who's here, demonstrating your love for us and love for Josh and love for what he meant to all of us. And I think in times like these, we can tend to idealize people. And I had my share of confrontation with Josh as his father. And I'm the boundary person. I am not Mosaic. And by your laugh, some of you have dealt with me. And so we clashed big time. I remember I see Don Wooster was going to get some time with Josh as a counselor, and I got a call when I was driving up to Flagstaff to try and get my faculties back because of the frustration that was going on. And Don said, I think Josh had an appointment at, I don't know what, he'll correct me later, but 2 o'clock. And I go, yeah? Well, he's not here. And I went, yeah? Well, do you know where he is? I mean, are you at the house? No. I'm going up to Flagstaff to get away from all this just for a day. And welcome to my world. I think you're exactly the right person to help. Have a good day, Don. And I had a talk with Renee, too. I mean, she called, he called. We're all looking. Where's Josh? But that was just normal. Before I go on, I just want to really say thank you. There are hundreds of you who have helped us get through this past 10 and 11 months. For us, the hardest time was when Paulie came back. Actually, she went to the doctor, and the doctor had a meeting, and Paulie pleaded that she would see Josh. And she took one look at him, and she said, excuse me, and then she went to cancel her meeting and spent an hour and a half with Josh and Paulie. And then he went into colorectal surgery within a few days. And the worst he thought would be that he'd have a colostomy. But those words, when she came out of the